All right, guys, welcome to the Business of Pleasure podcast. It's your girl, Cash, your sexologist bestie, and we're cooking up a little something as we prepare to step into the month where we're going to talk a little bit more about men's health, but we really want to talk about their mental health more specifically and how that can impact other areas of their life. But that's not where I want to stay. I still want this conversation to be a conversation of journey like it always is. So we're going to talk about getting really into our guests today and kind of getting a sense of them, their process, where they're at in their journey, what they're manifesting for themselves, because you know that we're very big on empowerment, education, but we also big on finding ways to turn those things that we love into lucrative ways to making that money, right? So I am really excited because this is somebody I wanted you guys to get an opportunity to meet almost a year ago in our first season launch. And we didn't get a chance to match, but sometimes that's because it wasn't the time. I'm a believer in that. And I know it's the time. I know it's right now. I feel it. So I want you guys to get an opportunity to meet my guy, Wolf. Okay, who is amazing, first of all, multifaceted. Not only are you in front of the camera, you do a lot of work behind the camera.
A whole lot of work behind that camera.
Yeah, and he is, first of all, the host and creator of the podcast Halfway Up.
For real.
And
Absolutely.
I love the concept, first of all, of never being grown. We always on the way up, right? And
always,
I want you to talk a little bit really quick about what motivated you to say, like, this is what you wanted to create a platform around when you started that podcast.
Yeah, you know what? So I'm going to say at some point in life, I think it's important for an adult to be building towards something in life. You should be trying to build something. You know what I mean? You get fulfillment out of purpose, right? So I kind of found myself working for people, but not really working towards something.
Can we all relate to that?
And I needed that. You know what I mean? So I'm working at this podcast studio, and whether I like it or not, I'm learning about the podcast industry. So I figured, like, let me just try my stab at it. And I've always enjoyed having like insightful conversations. I've always loved that. I've always been the friend that the homegirls came and got advice to.
You always gave off sapiosexual vibes too.
You think so?
Yeah.
Listen.
I feel like a person probably can't get you hard if they can't mentally stimulate you. It's something that
I learned that the hard way. No pun intended. Shit. But I've learned that the hard way. But anyway, that's where Halfway Up came from. And I really do believe that, like, while you're here on Earth, like, you're always gonna be working towards something. Like, even when I'm a grandfather, right? I might not be working in the capacity that we work in right now, but I'm gonna be like leadership toward my grandchildren, or, you know, something, some type of way.
You won't even know how to be a grandfather until you have your first grandchild.
Right.
So you can't even start that process until you get there.
Exactly.
So you know what's so crazy? What I love about it is a mantra I recite to myself every day, that I do to give myself grace, but also acknowledge the process, is that I am a perfect progression. And as long as I'm progressing, I'm always perfection.
That's beautiful.
And
that sounds like my outro a little bit.
I have to say it.
Yeah,
I have to say
my
it.
outro is, whenever I'm working, I will remember done is better than perfect. And if I'm satisfied with my work, that means I'm living in my purpose.
Yeah. I know we got some lyricists,
There's some
poets
alignment going on right
over
now.
here.
Yeah, for sure.
That shit
Definitely.
is so real. And it's like, because you know what? Most of the time, I think we all form mantras that are based on things that we needed at a point in our life that no one was telling us that we needed, or we had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
That spins the block again, right?
Yeah,
Learning the hard way, certain things. And for me, I think for people of color, I think we have a way of laughing. You know, we laugh off our traumas.
Absolutely.
We find a way to find the silver lining or the positive way to look at everything. And then you get to a certain point in life and you're like, there's not really a good way to look at certain shit.
Yeah.
And giving yourself grace for decisions that you made and understanding you were in progress. You were still loaded.
You're going to have to. Yeah.
You ain't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But we still chase it, you know. And I think that the toll on your mental health is the part that, you know, eventually I always say to people, even if you don't listen to your mind, eventually your mind gets together with your body. They have a little conversation, and one of them is going to sit your ass down.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And I, unfortunately, I got those lessons. You know what I'm saying? And in that sitting season where you're quiet and you're reflecting and you realize, you know what? I got to forgive me for who I've been to myself, a little hard on myself, a little, you know, where did these things, I'm one of those people who, the best way I could say it is, and this is how ADHD can come in. I didn't know at the time that was the thing that was doing a part of this, but I was starting a lot of things, getting excited about things. The creative in me is always going, and I wasn't finishing certain things, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
And couldn't really figure out, why you can't seem to get things to fruition. And then I started asking myself questions like, is this because you think you're going to fail? And then I was like, nah, I realized I never fail. I just stopped. Wasn't giving myself an opportunity to see what I could do. I was, and limiting myself. So that's why that became my mantra of saying, just always accept the progress and celebrate the small wins along the way.
Yeah, you have to.
And not be looking for that big picture. So I want to talk to you a little bit, because I know that in having that platform, you're having a lot of conversations that not just get your audience acquainted with your guests, but there's something you take away from every talk. So far, since you've been doing podcasting on this platform, what do you feel like were some of the moments that really like hit you, that like stuck with you from an episode or anything that you talked about in the past that it never left you?
Some moments, I think. So there's podcasts.
Sorry, let me say that.
There's podcast as a talent, and then there's podcast is looking at it like almost like a scientist, right? And I think the biggest lesson from podcasting that's most interesting to me is that you realize if you can start to understand podcasting, you then begin to understand how everything else in the world works, right? It's like, why do people like things? Why do people buy things? How do you influence people? Why is having influence on people powerful in the first place? In the beginning, I'm looking at podcasting like it's entertainment. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at it like it's entertainment.
That's real. And
then I realized like, oh, this is if you understand this, you understand how everything works. You know what I mean?
I think that podcasting, I've always been comfortable with talking. And
same.
I think that's from young. I used to do storytelling contests. I was a champion,
All
that
that.
a chess player. So I had a lot of things that kind of popped my cherry into those things way earlier.
Yeah,
and
for
so
sure. Transferable skills.
But what I didn't realize was the true power of my voice until I really started getting onto platforms and using it that way.
You're going to find out.
Yeah, you're going to learn real quick whether people care to hear what you got to say or not. And I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways is something that could be super small to you, minute to you, is life-changing to somebody else.
That's so true.
And that's one of the greatest things that I've learned in doing this, because I've had people walk up to me and like, oh, when you said this and that, girl, me and my husband were watching that episode and we started talking.
I love those moments. I live for those moments. You
know what I'm saying? And sometimes what it was the thing that you least expect. Like, oh, really? That got y'all? You know what I'm saying? So I realized what we do as creators, and even in this conversation is, oh, hold on now, that's that ADHD trying to keep me on schedule. Honestly, I have like 20 alarms throughout the day to like make sure you do this, take your pill.
Hey, so, whatever keeps you on track.
Whatever keeps you on track. My man hates it though. Oh, it'd be like a 5 alarm, a 505 alarm.
That's how I do mine.
Alarm,
that's how I do my shit. For sure. It's like 20. I need 20 to wake up in the morning.
20 to get up in the morning. Really, the first one is to let me know it's almost time.
Come on.
You feel me?
Listen. Take notes. For real.
Take notes.
The first one lets you know you got 30 more minutes.
You got 30 more minutes. Yeah, it's like a wake. I find that that's the method that works, but he hates it. Yeah. He hates it. He'd be like, "What do you have to do in the morning? Can you turn off your alarms before you go to sleep?" And I'm like,
because I'm gonna be disappointed. I'm gonna start my day wrong.
Because if I get up too late, I'm also disappointed about, But I think that became the thing, because I realized I started off even with Bedroom Candy, right? When I first got into the business, I wasn't with them. I was with another company. They're no longer existing today. But one of the things I felt the most powerful was that I was tricking people and educating them. Yeah. They think that I'm just coming to throw toys and stuff on the table. And it's gonna be lit. We're gonna have a drink, whatever. They don't realize I gotta teach you about your body. I gotta teach you about the products. I gotta teach you about this lotion and what's in it. I gotta teach you about ingredients. And so I'm teaching it, but we are like doing it in an entertaining way. And I realized with podcasting,
the candy and the medicine.
It's the same transfer.
It's the same transfer.
Same damn transfer. So I've come to really appreciate not just what this has the ability to do when used properly, but speaking of which, right, it is also something that if it can go so many different tangible ways. So how do you maintain a good mental health through the process? Because I feel like when you first start, you get attached to outcomes, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You go through this phase,
sure.
ups and downs. You get the negative whiplash. You get people calling you this, a simp, or this, or that.
Oh, for sure.
A pick me. I love you.
Oh, for sure. I done got all that.
All of it.
Yeah, I done got all that, for sure.
How have you, what did you do in order for you to navigate those parts and make sure that you didn't lose your fucking mind in the process?
You just go through it. I think it's inevitable that you experience those things, especially when you're trying to advocate for people. God forbid you advocate for somebody. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's somebody on the opposite side of that going to be like, you're pandering. You're a simp.
Immediately.
It don't take much.
It don't take
just
much.
The fact that you see somebody, it's like creating space to see someone. They're going to be like, you pandering, you doing too much for the other side.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because the only time people don't feel that way is when it's them that you're making people see.
Of course. Right? And then there will be somebody else on the
other side.
On the other side. So
you can't really get away from it. And I found that like being in this now social media world has started to impact the mental health of a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And unaware, and they're unaware. I feel I'm scared of what studies might come out 10 years from now.
Oh, I think about this shit all the time.
Yeah, even for myself, I'll be asking myself like, girl, are you safeguarding yourself from the inevitable turn like of what the mental health whiplash comes on? And I was thinking about this as it relates to masculinity, and this is really what I want to talk about really quick before we go into like the more adult edutainment segment, which is, this is our power in your presence segment where we allow our guests to get a little acquainted with you and your power, right? But what I am becoming a little bit overwhelmed mentally by is the constant videos of men and women, or women specifically, because I got to say this, I feel like the ridicule around men and their masculinity, but women defining what masculinity is for men is what I see on the internet a lot, right? And that's where the simp stuff and all this stuff comes down to, because everybody's saying, be a man, be a man. Like that phrase is like a trigger for me when I hear women say you got to be a man, because I think as an emotionally intelligent woman, have a hard time trying to understand how people have so many subjective views about something that they will never experience. But if the tables turn and let a man say anything about a pregnancy or whatever, it's like, you'll never carry a kid. You'll never.
Sure. No, yeah,
so there's that bias.
Absolutely.
But I do feel like men are rebelling a little bit now, like the frolicking in the meadows.
The frolicking.
That's one of my favorite things to do
like
at
those?
night.
You live for those?
And there's the young, I can't remember the name of what they go by, but the young boys who are going around and trying a bunch of different things. They like went and learn how to do makeup. They learn how to put a lace front down. They're early adult, it's early 20 guys, but they'll go in there and they'll be like, yes, and they start doing that, but they're basically trying all of these things and doing all these things that appear feminine, getting their nails done or learning how to, put lashes on and stuff. And when they do it well, the boys are like, yes. So I for them to be of that age and even of the point of making a thing about it tells me that like this thing is really it's trickling down. 22-year-old boys have to make content that of them doing things that are basically considered not masculine. And I'm wondering for you, what you feel about the constant, how can I say this? The constant definitions of manhood that the internet are placing out there as a man, consuming content, talking to people. Where do you sit with that?
Man, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, and I think everybody understands that. I think the first thing we got to consider is that it comes from a lot of young men who didn't grow up with their fathers. You get what I'm saying? So I think that to be a young man who didn't grow up with your father or any positive male influences in your life that were accessible to you, I think in a lot of ways it could be great that you could just hear some other men just speak on things. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us, like myself, we grew up in the matriarchies of our families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like my mamas, it was my aunties, it was my sister. Not a lot of men. You know what I mean? So, and we need that. You know what I mean?
I had the complete reverse.
You had the complete reverse?
No, yeah. I had all patriarchs. I had all men around me growing up. I mean, my mom and my aunt were there, but my mom had me young.
Yeah.
She was 16, turning 17 when she had me. So she was still not fully in her womanhood. So my uncles who are older than that, both of my uncles are older than my mom and my aunt, and my grandfather raised us. So I had a complete different lens, which I think makes me a little bit of an alien sometimes, because
it does.
It's I think it's why some of the things that I hear disrupts my core so much.
For sure.
I don't have that experience.
It's all about conditioning at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, and it's weird because I think people don't always understand how that can relate. And I tell people all the time, the work that the positive men did in my life, it was so good that even after being sexually assaulted and experiencing DV and experiencing all this, I still know that they are not the example of a man to me, and they can't make me believe that.
That's great.
But I don't think a lot of women, not only do they lack that as well, because they may not have had that same role model or whatever the case is too.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it disrupts me because I have sons, and so I hear like men ain't shit. And I'm like,
once you get the sons, it really brings it full circle. Like, you know what, this is because your sons now become subject to that same.
But they still do it. They still say it. I've even asked women before, and it could be, they don't like it. I'm not really a rage person, but it's like when you say that men ain't shit or this ain't shit, it's like you realize that your son is in that encompassed in that. Time they do not. And I don't feel like they do.
Yeah.
So I'm really tired of women defining masculinity. So I want to ask you, as a man, how do you define it for yourself? And what it looks like. How do you determine the male friendships, the types of guys you let hang around you, keeping your circle based on what your expectation of men is?
Man, as far as like guys that I keep in my circle, you just gotta be right, bro. You gotta be right. You gotta be somebody who is a safe space to women. You gotta be somebody who not going out their way to be destructive to women. Be destructive to anybody, for real. You know what I mean? As far as anybody I'm going to allow in my space, if you're destructive in any kind of way, I can't even associate with myself. I can't even fake play about it. You know what I mean? Like, you're either building, you're either creating things, or you're the problem. That's just kind of how I see it a lot of time. As far as explaining masculinity, these days, man, it's like working at a podcast studio, I hear so many people have these arguments about, like, what does it mean to be a man and what does it mean to be a woman? And I found myself coming to a place where a lot of the time when I think about when I hear people say what it means to be a man, it almost sounds exactly like what it means to be a woman in a lot of ways sometimes. When they think about, like, to provide, to take care of things, it's like, these are things I've seen my mom doing. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think it's necessarily because she had to. I think, like, when you love somebody, especially when you give birth to children, you naturally want to do that.
It's so funny because I always tell people when they start throwing a provide, protect thing around for men, I think a lot of people even measure the providing word wrong, right? Because I see providing as a mindset before an action. People view it mostly as what can they give, right? And to me, it's more so, do they want to give to you? Because what you just said, when you love a person and you care for someone, that desire is there.
Yeah.
I remember probably was like, I want to say at least at this point 12 years ago, I was in a relationship and I had a guy who he worked, but always most people had a job, but always managed to still be broke, right? Sometimes, right? And it's like, but what I cannot discredit him, what I can't take away from him is, if I were hungry, he would walk the chicken from his freezer to my house. Like, he was like the desire to make sure I ate, whether he could go and buy the food or not. It's like, I don't have money, but I bring this chicken for us to cook.
It's the love.
It's the love. And to me, it's mindset, because I think a lot of times people don't realize, like, there are a lot of men who have the ability to give because they have means, right?
Absolutely.
And so to them, giving to you doesn't actually
it's
nothing to them, right?
Absolutely.
But what makes them want to give to you beyond just monetary things or whatever the case is, they're wanting to provide a safe space for you. They want to protect your mind. They want to protect your body. You want to protect your heart, your soul. It's not just about getting in front of someone with brute force. It now becomes a part of almost like honor for them. Like, they're honored to be able to care for you, right? And so solving your problems becomes a motivation of theirs and things like that. And I think that a lot of people get that wrong, because a guy who may not have as much may provide more to you than a guy who has more.
Absolutely.
Because he paid for this, but mentally, emotionally, that motherfucker ain't feeding you nothing.
It's all about character at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I asked that question to you because, like I said, this is a men's mental health conversation, but I do feel, and I know in my work that there is somewhat of a mental health crisis for our men. I don't think this just extends to men of color, but it is absolutely more impactful over there. And I just want to share with you, I looked up these statistics, but I already kind of knew it. And I'll say that because if I look at if just my clients for the last 10 years of the most common things that men come to me for help for, they're all on the list. And I even say over and over, the problem in my work is actually never sex, right? It's usually something in life impacting sex. So when a guy or a woman or a couple comes to me seeking help to kind of get their spice back, or you know what I'm saying? Right. Usually I have to figure, where's the real problem? Because this ain't it. So I wanted to look up this because, well, they say the numbers don't lie, even though sometimes they do. But these numbers seem pretty on board. And I just want to hear, when you hear these things, where does it take you?
Okay.
Right? So, and in case you guys haven't realized, we're now moving into our adult edutainment segment. Okay. Because you're going to learn a thing or two. So there are some pretty scary statistics. First of all, men die by suicide at 4 times the rate of women in the United States.
Super believe it.
Didn't surprise me.
Yeah, super believe it.
Men represent 79% of all suicide deaths in this country.
Super believe it.
ED and younger men, we're talking about between the ages under 40, they now make up about 20% of the people diagnosed with erectile dysfunction, as opposed to, if I would go 2 decades back, where it typically was an issue that men saw as they aged and went over 50.
That ain't hard to believe either.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I saw this on the report, but I would have been able to tell you this. The erectile problems that these men under 40 are experiencing is not related to a health issue, right?
What is it?
It's usually psychologically induced. Performance anxieties are a top one out there. Like this, especially for young dudes, being the guy who could, do whatever, doing it well. Now that y'all end up in a group chat being talked about, especially, that's one of the main ones. But honestly, it's more so. I'll tell you in the conversations of guys that have come to me with the issue, 9 times out of 10, they're either trying to figure out who they are, like career-wise. Who am I going to be? Like, as a man, what legacy am I leaving in this world? And now, I feel like men are now getting to that point a little later. This economy, this society is a lot harder for you to get into certain things and, make your way in this day and age. So a lot of people are finding out what their niche, their niche sort of thing is much later in life. But these guys are in their 30s. They're stressed because the cost of living is high. There's an expectation on them to be that provider when they find a woman. So they're either choosing to participate in more of those sort of like wilder behaviors of having multiple women, right? Or insecure, not really feeling like manly, not holding their ground in these relationships. And so it's impacting their performance in the intimacy area these days, right? But they're saying, because psychological ED is actually something that can be fixed if you could just fix the root of the problem. Sure. But also, we also know that men are least likely to get therapy. So they're walking around with the pressure. It's perpetuating for so long that it eventually does become a problem that they end up needing to take something for. And then you have all of the disgusting things of the way alcohol, honey packs, all that stuff. They become like pouring salt on the wound, right, on top of it, because since they're not performing, but there's a need to perform, they're going to take this thing to perform, and now, so
because time is of the essence now. So now I need a quick fix. I don't got time to do all that shit you talking about.
Exactly. So they're losing their vitality a lot sooner, and I'm a little worried about what that's going to look like down the line, because these are 30-year-old guys today.
These the young niggas.
These the young dudes. We're not even talking about, you know what I'm saying? Though, in fact, some of the older dudes are doing a little better in that area these days, because they're at that point in life where they're prioritizing health. So just hearing out loud that y'all are more likely nowadays to actually get earlier onset problems in your intimacy area, more likely to be driven to not want to live, more likely to not get therapy, but also
it's a lot. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
It's like the question is there, but it's like, it's so much to take in, and it's even hard for me when you hear it. what do you feel like, if any, are the things that we need to possibly start doing to kind of really ring the alarm? I think we need to sound off an alarm really loud, but to start actually doing some things is going to spin the clock backwards on some of these things. But even I sometimes I'm like, damn, what I want to say I know what men need, but I'm not a man.
Yeah.
What do you think is missing that men need more of right now that we need to start getting more proactive about?
Like you was alluding to, this shit is so deep. There's so many ways to approach it. But one, men need education, man. You know what I mean? It's like it's not lost on me why men are in this position right now. You know what I mean? There's no education that would provide them to not be in this scenario. You know what I mean? Everything about an American lifestyle produces what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Actually, the things that we probably celebrate most about.
Like, I'm talking about the natural assembly line of a young man's life, from grade school to high school to college. It's like, it's almost inevitable for you to experience one or two of these things that you talked about. You get what I'm saying? Like, first of all, boys are not socialized. Man, I mean, it all goes back to the fathers for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So once father is out the house, you've already increased your chances of a boy walking into this world not being as well equipped as he could. And of course, there are some households where father is there. If your daddy ain't shit, that's almost just as bad.
Because nobody likes to talk about the fathers who are there but not present.
Oh no, because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who have that, and I know that's their situation.
I actually almost feel like it's worse for them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's worse because I think people reduce their experiences more because to their outside view looking in, you had your dad.
It is actually.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So your experience gets dismissed a little bit more because by their pick, but you had your mom and your dad. But
no, it is.
Nobody thought about what kind of dad was. And I saw a video, and I want to let you finish what you were saying, but while I pull this up, but it reminds me of what you're saying. But continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I think it really all starts with education. And a lot of the time when you don't have your father in your life, you already starting off in an extreme deficit.
Yeah.
Mama can only handle so much. Like, we really praise our mothers for doing the incredible jobs that they did. But as we go from boys to becoming men, we realize, like, even though mama did the best job she could do, that job was really meant for two, realistically, even though she did an incredible job. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you don't have your father, you don't got nobody teaching you certain things. That's why generational curses is such a thing, right? Because it's like the boy finds himself repeating the mistakes of his father. If his father was there, he could have told him how to avoid that.
How to avoid it.
He wouldn't have to go through it again.
And I think the other part of it is because sometimes I feel like men hide those things as opposed to turn them into lessons. I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
That's the other part of it.
That's huge. Like me and my mans, we could be the same age, and I might have not been able to get it up with my shorty last night or with a shorty last night, but I don't want to. If that's really your best friend, you could tell them. But a lot of the time, it's like, you don't want to tell them, though. You get what I'm saying? And so, again, it's like men don't have community.
They don't.
Even when they think that they have community. And then that's where suicide really, I think that's really, really bleeds into it. Because it's like, you don't have nobody you can talk to, so you feel alone. Loneliness is the number one way to get you to be like, you know what, maybe this life shit ain't worth it.
It's insane. I listened to this video. If I'm honest, it broke me a little bit emotionally because of how young this boy was. But this shit struck my core. And the reason why I'm bringing this conversation here with this is because I think people are asleep as to how big of a problem it is. And people might be confused about why this is an important conversation on a platform like this, right?
The fuck? What you mean?
I just said a second ago, right? We're talking about how this impacts people's relationships,
what you mean?
their intimacy, their ability to socialize, like you said. Yeah. Socializing, including finding a mate, becomes a thing. You talking about a guy being open to intimacy. I got to teach him how to use a body butter. You know what I'm saying? So I just want y'all to make sure y'all understand. But the reason why I'm sharing this is because I hope that this signals you to go home. If you're a woman listening, go home and talk to the men around you, including the little boys. And if you're a man, ask yourself, have you been paying it forward, your lessons that you've lost and learned? Because this little boy shook me, right? So I'm going to play it really quick. And let me put my audio up. Let me start here.
You hold a lot in, right? Why?
Because I don't feel like I got nobody to talk to.
Even dad?
I mean, like my mama, but like
She just don't understand the stuff.
What you? Mom don't hear you.
Yeah, like she can hear me, but like she just don't. It just don't feel the same. Like she can't relate how I feel.
How you feel? How's it with Dad?
It's like I can talk to him, but it's like it just don't feel comfortable.
He don't know how to do what you doing right now.
Yeah,
He been through it. So he been through it too. And he don't know how to open up.
Yeah.
First off, King, thank you. Let's give him a hand. Would I be wrong to say you there for a lot of people? A lot of people ain't there for you, huh?
Yeah, I'm there for a lot.
But they not there for you.
Yeah.
Today you get to be, we finna care for you today. We finna have your back today. Say what you got and you can say as much as you want.
The truth is I miss my granny. The truth is I'm really going through stuff. The truth is I miss the old days. The truth is I hold stuff in.
Come on, man. Come on.
The truth is I'm hurt.
Keep going, Robert.
The truth is I miss my brother before he changed.
Keep going.
The truth is nobody really cared. The truth is I miss being together with family.
Come on.
The truth is I'm misunderstood.
Give him a hand, man. Show some love.
He been holding that for a long time.
Yeah.
He been holding that for a long time. God bless that kid.
Yeah, this boy is not it's not even nowhere near. I mean, we looking at a kid that's like 16.
Yeah, for sure.
And the things that he said are the things that I think as grown people we think we take for granted. He said, I miss my granny.
Yeah.
He said, I miss my brother before he changed.
Yeah.
When that shit came out,
yeah.
that one right there, and he said he has his dad. He said, but his father ain't comfortable. His father is not comfortable being emotional with him, so he can't even really talk to his dad about it. And thank God for this man who organized this circle for these young boys to be able to kind of like get this stuff off their chest and actually cheer each other on for being vulnerable, because some of this. But I'll tell you one thing I noticed. I read the comments, right? And I noticed the women in the comments.
I don't even want to hear it. Tell me though.
It wasn't even. Here's the thing, because if a grown man made this same video, he would have been told to man up from a lot of people. Some people were like, "Oh, these men, this is the thing," you know. But
yeah, for sure.
The young women in the comments were saying when he said, "My mom is there, I can talk to her, but she just can't relate."
Yeah.
A lot of these women were reflecting, "Dang, I wonder what my son feel." Everybody showed empathy to this boy because he's a boy.
Because he's a boy, yeah.
But I've seen men share the same vulnerability online and be criticized for the exact same thing. So it was like amazing to me to watch the complete contrast of how we don't hold space. And recently on the podcast, we were talking, Chris, Tahoe, Kent were on here, and we were speaking about the teenage boy and how he needs to be let out to it as you get to grown men to play. And I was just kind of like really taken back as I realized the expectations for y'all from when y'all turn 18 to when y'all get to like that next tier of adulting or whatever.
For sure,
Yo, the safety changes like this.
Yeah.
The safety changes like this. If he's 21, 22, he's still going to get love. But you start getting closer to 30 and still ain't got certain things, then people are like, I ain't got time to figure this out for no guy. I ain't got time to help no man here. You need to come healed. You need to come this. So I wanted to talk about this in the relationship aspect, because listening to this young boy say the things that I'm hearing the grown men say is telling me that how they say they can't be all wrong. I mean, you know, and we just, you know what I'm saying? It can't be all wrong if it's showing up this consistently and so
this
many
far of a gap
at that age.
You're talking about generations.
And this little boy is not talking about high school. This little boy is not talking about his friends on the block. This boy said, "I miss my family. I miss getting together with my family. I miss getting together with that." Clearly surrounded but alone.
For sure.
So these are the boys who grow up and we have an expectation that they supposed to become the best men that we meet and love and fall in love with and know how to take care of us. How? So from your perspective, Wolf, when you think about your coming into manhood and preparing to come into manhood, start dating, you know, looking to see if you can find that soulmate, how has your experience impacted how you've shown up in those scenarios? When you were young, did you have, first of all, let me ask that, did you have a space to be open like this young man?
I would say that, you know, with my mom, and not to exclude my father, but I grew up, my mom raised me, you know what I mean? So with my mom, I could talk to her about anything, but I wasn't being asked questions like that.
Okay.
Also, though, we all have our own trials and tribulations. You know, I'm very grateful for both of my parents. You know what I mean? They're very, very beautiful people. You know what I mean? So, but I didn't have anybody asking me that in particular, though.
Like and do you think, because I also could say that I've had people to talk to, do you think that the relatability, because one thing to be able to share the experience, but to feel like another person understands it in a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
That's and how do you think that impacted you and how you are able to interact with women later? Because I think having a woman you could talk to, growing up, having a mom who kind of set that expectation or standard, I gotta imagine that you expect that in a partnership. Where have you found yourself able to find that similar openness in a woman that you were with romantically?
Yeah, for sure. And I think so. For me, it's never been hard for me to express how I feel. Right, but that wasn't my struggle when it comes.
So it was a struggle.
My struggles with women was trying to find my place as far as what I think it means to be a man to a woman. You get what I'm saying? Like, and in the dynamic of like, what does leadership mean? What does masculinity mean? What is too much masculinity? Like, how do I know if I'm crossing the line or not? You know what I mean? Like trying to find my place as far as like when is it cool for me to do this
versus lower your wing.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, so like my thing was more so knowing how to wield my masculinity in a way that's beneficial for everybody. You know what I mean? So like I never.
Is that beneficial to you?
Through the process of learning it has been beneficial for me. You know what I mean? Because I think that what I would have liked my father to teach me is how to conduct myself with women. You get what I'm saying? Even though he's his own man, I would have liked if he would have gave me a template.
A little more game.
Just to, you know what I'm saying?
I call it a playbook. You know
what I'm saying?
Yeah, because even with my man, I told him, baby, I give you the playbook. My joke in that is we're not on opposite teams.
Yeah.
So I'll show you the play.
Yeah.
But I can understand. I think a lot of men, when it comes to like men, I feel like the talk, you could confirm or deny for me, the talk that y'all do get to womanhood is always sex rooted. Like a guy, like an older dude might school you on how to do things with women. Yeah. In that way, but not how to navigate her emotions, how to navigate her moods,
that's the part. Because, you know, like a lot of the time us as human beings, no matter what we've been through, we got love in our heart. So we naturally don't nothing make love come out of, what Method Man say? Nothing make a man feel better than a woman. So don't nothing make the love pour out of your heart faster than when you're with a woman. But then that's great, you know what I mean? But that's very surface level.
Yeah,
though.
hell yeah.
And then you need to understand like why it's important for you to conduct yourself a certain kind of way around a woman. Why it's important for you to talk to a woman a certain kind of way. Why it's important for you to regulate your emotions. It's certain things that you need. You get what I'm saying? That it's like a lot of time we get into sex talk or we get into talk like don't put your hands on women or don't do any of like the
those type
things.
Of talks.
You know
That's what I always hear.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to reverse that standard with the younger guys. Like, you know, although I am not my brother's mother, I'm his mother, and we're closer in age. He's 10 years younger than me, even though I raised them. So I tried to make sure that I had the conversations with him that were beyond the surface, because I realized like a lot of men have not been taught how to navigate that terrain of us. And it literally ruins us, because I find that it screws up your conflict resolution skills. First of all, y'all lack empathy for each other's experiences.
Oh man.
It's like the shit just comes down and it becomes a lot of tit for tat type behavior in relationships, because you're spending so much time fiercely invalidating each other's experiences that are not the same. So I just feel what I try to do personally on my end is, that's why when I do things on my platform, I try to make sure that I always add an educational something to it.
Yeah.
Because you said y'all are lacking education.
Yeah.
Why do you feel men don't seek it out though as much? Because I do find that I agree.
Seek it out?
Yeah. You know what I say that I mean, I'll give an example.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a woman who is having an issue in her relationship, or like, oh, my husband doesn't feel like I initiate or whatever, she's more prone to find an expert, right, to try to figure it out.
Yeah,
but a man, I find, my whole first session with a man is reassuring him that it's okay to have this problem. Mm-hmm. We don't even get to start touching any of the work. He apologizes 20 times for his truth, right? And I hate to say this, and I'm sorry if this sounds this way, and they're always kind of like, and I have to be like, listen, this is a safe space.
Like,
I don't need you to make it sound good. I don't need you to make it. Tell me it is ugly, because if you don't give it to me real raw and as ugly as it is,
can't help you.
And it's like once they realize that they can toggle that line, well, the shit that came out and it's never failed. I did a event at a cigar spot.
Fire.
Every man in the room is different. We had 20 something, 30 something, 40 something, all the way up to about 60 something. So different age ranges of men in the room, in the conversation. I came there, and of course there's not that many women hanging around in the cigar spots that often, right? So naturally my presence alone is going to attract, and they're like, what the hell's going on? And I said, well, I partnered with the owner of the spot. I wanted to have a cognac and conversation, cigars, cognac and conversations. And it was like, what you want to talk about? I said, I want each and every one of you to say the things to me that you want to say to women that you typically get cursed out for.
Come on. And that's, yeah, I think the biggest problem with men and women really is that they just don't talk.
They don't. And when these guys started talking, you would have thought that the issue was going to be well, if these niggas was like, she ain't even noticed I lost 15 pounds, but she want me to see what she got her hair done.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is I left that spot. I was supposed to leave at 10. I didn't leave till 3 a.m. Yeah. Those guys made me pull up a chair. Then the guys made me take a shot, and they offloaded. They dumped. They whatever. So now that you know that you've not had the opportunity to get that introductory talk, and you kind of had to learn some of those things in relationships the hard way, where do you find yourself navigating it? Do you feel now that you still, that's still an area of challenge for you, or do you find that that's an area you're navigating a little better now that you've been doing your own, like learning on your own, having these conversations, doing this podcasting? Do you feel more equipped, or do you still feel lost?
Both. I feel more equipped because I'm just learning what it means to be me more. You know what I mean? And I'm learning how to advocate for myself. And I just understand communication really is like the biggest benefit you have to your arsenal. You know what I mean? Like talking about everything. Don't hold nothing back. You know what I mean? Share it all. Like, how do you feel? I didn't like this. I like that. You know what I mean? So in a lot of ways, I've grown to really get better at understanding women, but then there's still so many things that I don't know at the same time.
What would be one of those? Like, if I could help you with one right now, what one about women that you feel like, help me understand?
I think, I'm not going to lie, I think I have a very firm understanding of a lot of things. Now it's just more about putting it into practice and the repetition. You know what I mean? Like, I think one of the things that I struggle with is a lot of the time women operate purely from an emotional space a lot of the time in my experience. You're a logical person. I'm a very logical person. I'm all about efficiency. What's the fastest way to get it done? I'm a very results driven. I'm a very measured person, and so a lot of time I could be communicating to my girlfriend, and I could be communicating to her. And just like we was talking about somebody that you did a podcast with off air. Yeah. And then you was like, well, you said this and then you said that, and both things can't be true. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
so it's like a lot of times they contradict themselves in the emotional outpour.
Yeah, they contradict themselves, but what I'm learning is like there's a great level of patience. Since I've been dating just in general, you know what I mean? There's a great level of patience you have to give women as a man, because realistically, a lot of the women are actually going through the same thing you're going through, just on the opposite side of the same coin.
Oh, man. Well,
you get what I'm saying?
I literally say all the time, you can never call me a pick me, because I'm not pro he or she or this and this, and I'm pro who makes sense, right?
For sure.
And so, first of all, let me say this. I can understand where you're at with that, because I'm a rather logical animal. I'm pretty balanced on them, right? Because I'm a Pisces at the end of the day. And so there's no way to be a Pisces and not have some emotional
For sure,
concept.
definitely.
But honestly, it's why I wrote the book. If I'm being honest, it's because of what you just said. Separating when it's time to be emotional versus logical. What I find, like you just said, and being on opposite ends of it, men are logical first and women are emotional first. And but like almost like yin and yang, we each have a little bit of the other in each other, but we don't know when to tap into that version a little bit. Where this affects the relationship is that women can't be logical and not emotional, but men also struggle being emotional and not logical. Do you have that struggle?
Nah, not really. I mean, at the end of the day, like I do prefer to be stoic as much as possible in certain situations, because if one of us is like kind of falling apart, you know what I mean, one of us got to keep it together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's definitely a balancing act of just...
Oh, like you don't think that there's a time that both can be...
No, I do.
Low. Okay.
I do, but there are times when, a lot of the time, like no funny shit, and I'm gonna just be 100% honest. Like a lot of the time, men say women are crazy, right? And a lot of the times, like I be telling my girl, like, yo, you're crazy, and I know she's not crazy. She's very intelligent, but it's like when you look at like the reasoning, you know what I mean, and the things that you're not thinking about.
I think that's the wrong word.
I know. I don't mean it like I mean it like almost.
I think the word is irrational.
Same fucking thing. It's not the same thing, but yes, that's what I mean.
You know what it is? It's because, and the reason why I say that is because
you're right, though.
It's because there's one thing that I can say that I'm grateful that I have as a skill is being reasonable.
It's
right?
good to have.
Where that helps me is that when I'm in my little bratty moods or whatever, he doesn't give me as much of a hard time, because he knows that when it's time for me to be reasonable and not be that, I'm reasonable enough to know, like, oh, he got to go to work, or he got this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to take a time that I know is probably not a good time to do a certain thing and do that thing, right? So that's where the rationalization comes in, right?
That part. Because timing is everything.
Yeah, it is. It matters.
Timing is everything.
It fucking
a
matters.
lot of ladies don't understand timing, and I cannot stress that shit enough.
It's a tough one for us. Because if you want to look at it, in the beginning, we're coddled a little more than you guys. So we're used to what? The world conforming to who?
Yes.
Us a little more.
Yes.
So because of that, and I'm I could be the way you're used to time bending to you or your needs, or the world stopping when you're not okay.
That's where the rationality comes from.
But men are not used to getting that response. Whether you feel okay, not whatever, the world expects certain things to go. But in the flip coin, I've learned as a now at this point of womanhood, that's also one of the things that the coin is flipped different. We're in the same situation, but in a reverse way, because we as women do have that problem, but the way we answer to it is different than men. So, for example, I also don't have time for a lot of shit. We know that there's not time for a lot of shit. For me, we barely have time to cry without our children asking for something, or somebody calling you for something, or you got to do this. Like I told my man when we first met, I don't actually have time on my schedule for heartbreak, right? And that sounds crazy. And I'm like, listen, whether you treat me good or you break my heart, my son still want egos at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? I still have to get up and operate. But what women do is, because of that, we become extremely, extremely aggressive about doing what we want. Autonomy becomes a thing, and time is gonna move around me. I ain't got time. I don't have. It's like a rebellion to it.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys as men kind of look at it in a logical way and say, I can't change time, I can't bend time.
Yeah.
You conform to it more.
Can I also say, like, we were speaking about something earlier about the difference between masculinity and femininity. And I was saying that in a lot of the ways I find it harder to discern the difference, because a lot of the time they kind of require to do the same thing. But in that area that you just kind of started like touching on is where the difference actually lies. You know what I mean? Because you start to understand that, like, though women are capable of doing all things if they need to,
it's just how we handle them when they hit us.
Then that's not necessarily putting a woman in the best position to thrive, though. You know what I mean? And this is when we talk about, like,
that's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like surviving versus thriving. I think a lot of the time when women show up to do both things that both parents are supposed to be doing, like, that's like kicking into a survival mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, and all women are not going to agree with this, but I truly believe for the most part, women would feel a lot more comfortable being in an area of the least amount of stress as possible. You know what I mean? And they would like a man to help them get in that place.
Or better yet, in a position of submission.
Sure, you know what I mean?
I
sure.
say it like that because a lot of women who they think are capable of not being that is because, one, first of all, people get the wrong definition of what that truly means. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, submission is an act of faith and trust at the end of the day,
100%.
right?
That's
people
why I
say
gotta be earned.
You know what I'm saying? So and a lot of people don't believe it. Some people believe that just for who they are or whatever, it should be automatically given. And
that's
I think
why you're not getting it, nigga.
And I do think that that's why women rebel against it, because you seem entitled as opposed to the earning of it. But
he doesn't know, though. That's why he's doing that. And that goes back to
because nobody told him how to handle women.
Come on. Come on. You see, it's all cyclical. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. And for women, I think a lot of women haven't been taught submission because of what you just said. Because a lot of them have been in position to play multiple roles, whether it's being the mother or the father, or sometimes even as the older sibling, you the sibling and the mother, or, you know, we all have these dual roles that require certain things of us. So the idea of me being able to surrender control over and letting someone else handle things when I've had to handle it all this time.
Yes.
It's really, really a hard sort of thing for a lot of women to turn over. And I just actually said this recently on a podcast. I had to learn how to not let survival be my spokesperson anymore.
Come on.
And
come on.
That lesson.
Come on.
That work. That shit is hard. That shit is ugly.
Why wouldn't it be?
It is nasty.
Why wouldn't it be?
And most of us, men and women alike, are operating out of what we feel we need to do to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been living this one way for so long. It's like, no funny shit. It's like sometimes I talk about in relationships, it'd be like taking a cat from outside as used to being feral, and then you come into the relationship. This is the house. And you're trying to domesticate something that has been comfortably living wild for a long time. So then this is where a lot of relationships don't survive, because it's like you got to get through a process of an animal not knowing what it means to be domesticated. And this is maybe not the best example, but you get what I mean, though.
It's a great example,
You get what I'm saying? It's like,
it speaks to the nature.
The nature.
Of whatever. Nature versus nurture is a big deal.
Come on, the nature. So the nature is like, I've been fighting and defending myself for a long time. So forgive me if I'm pissing on your floors, fucking up the shit that you say is nice. I don't know what nice shit is.
Eating up all your shit because I was hungry.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so to take it into human form, like, excuse me for yelling at you. I ain't know that was disrespectful. You know what I mean? My bad for doing all these things that stem from trauma. You know what I mean? Because I'm just doing what's best to me. And a lot of the time, my experiences with dating women is a lot of time I'm putting shit on their mind for the first time. It's like, do you know that that's wrong, what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the time, it's genuine moments. They be like, well, first of all, nobody ever sat me down to really just talk to me, ever. You know what I mean? Because usually I'm used to fighting for everything. And it's like, oh, then you asking me? And you like, I could ask you something simply, and you yelling, it's like, oh, wait, that nigga just asked me.
Do you think that they're receptive to that feedback when you give it?
No. No, not right away. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean about, I wish I could have got a little bit more game on how to deal with women, because you can kind of understand, like, a lot of the time when a woman majority of the women that I have met are not privileged to have like this Cosby lifestyle. Most people are not. You get what I'm saying? So they didn't pick up some shit before they met you.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they might not have even dealt with them things, looked at them things, maybe don't even know how to look at it. You get what I'm saying? So that comes out with you a lot of the time. So yeah, it's usually really hard to.
You know, can I lend insight there?
Please, go ahead.
You know, what you just said is such a really good way to kind of view it. I say that a lot of times what may not be known to men, because it's not your young experience, as young girls, everything that surrounds us is preparing us for some role in womanhood.
Oh, for sure.
The gift of dolls.
Absolutely.
Taking care of a baby.
Conditioning.
The little kitchens. You know what I'm saying?
It's that word.
The dream house.
Yeah.
The dream car.
We got trucks and action figures and shit.
Exactly. So getting an easy bake oven.
Yeah.
Was a thing.
My
to be
sister had
proud
one of them
of.
shits. Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
So we're kind of.
That's
so
crazy.
And then all of the content we consume at that age as well.
Oh, for sure.
If you look at the fairy tales, everything has this
every
notion
Disney,
of
every
being,
Pixar movie.
Every single one of them is the root.
Pocahontas, Cinderella,
I'm so
Princess
happy
Jasmine.
I'm so happy they started making movies like Inside Out. I'm gonna be honest, because it's about time we start talking about anxiety and all this other shit, the real stuff. But I remember my experience of that, even the other movies, Pretty Woman, all these things, all kind of rooted in some notion of being a girl, whether you were a girl who came from the rough spot or this and this and that, but there's a rescue coming. That man is going to look like a knight in shining armor.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to treat you like this and this and that.
For sure.
Unfortunately for a lot of our women, because of some of the things that we talked about today,
For sure.
our introduction to love is nothing like that, right?
Like
but
that.
it feels like that in the beginning. You get your first crush, you get the gloomy eyes, and little by little, with every experience that doesn't work out,
Get chipped off a little
chips.
bit. Yeah.
It chips. It chips. And so now it becomes, that's where we're being nurtured into the toxicity.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to what we were naturally born for.
Yeah.
And so that shows up in your relationship because that's where the survival starts. The survival starts very early with the disappointment that I had that I didn't even know was, I'm feeling disappointed about some shit that was basically inflicted on me to expect. At some point I had to wake up and say to myself, why am I you can't get disappointed for what you didn't expect.
Yeah.
So manage my expectations differently. And I had to set a different expectation for what I was now looking for in a person. And that's when I started to find myself coming across people who were more aligned with my path. And it doesn't mean that all of those relationships work, but at least I knew that the connections that were established were based off of what I had determined I need in a person versus what I had been told I should be looking for in a person.
Yeah.
And I think that was the major disconnect. You know what I'm saying? But I think also men experience the same thing because there's a certain type of woman. We get easy bake ovens because y'all told that she's supposed to cook and feed your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The expectations that men have for women are heavily rooted in what y'all were conditioned to expect in them. You were the man if you lost your virginity early as a teenage boy or some young boy.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's glorified. You know what I mean?
Something that I've heard people say online that I think just hits for me is like men are, even though they're not always doing the best job at it, so don't kill me because I already hear what people are going to say when I say this, but men a lot of the time are taught who they should be striving to be for a woman, but oftentimes I don't think women are necessarily taught who they should be striving to be the most compatible person for a man a lot of the time. And I think that that's where a lot of the issues come from.
We're taught what to expect from you, but not necessarily
to expect from you.
Yes,
right, but not necessarily know how
what to pour in.
Yeah, or how to like play your position so that we can be harmonious together a lot of the time.
Well, I think again it all comes back to those rebellions that a lot of us are fiercely fighting back because we've been of what we've been told it has to look like, and some women have followed that. You know, a lot of women I know didn't start off all rah rah.
No,
a lot of them,
who does?
Yeah.
Nobody starts like that.
So it's like you get those
conditioning,
those reality checks, and then you start changing the person you are.
Yeah.
As opposed to changing the people that you're seeking or you're surrounding yourselves with, because and that's something that I think, kind of plays. So I get where you're coming from. I don't think you're wrong, because I personally know that I was introduced to those things again. Because like I said, I had more men raising
conditioning.
Me. So my conditioning
changes
was
everything.
To look for those things, and it's changed everything. However, I will say there was one downside. And in that downside was I became, I like to say, the CEO and founder of Build a Man Workshop. Like, oh man, I love a project.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was taught to see that men aren't always this way. No, there are. They just need somebody to invest in their potential. They just need to this and that. So my discernment was way off because I wasn't really good at deciding which investments were worth pouring into. Like, you get a lesson later on what makes a good investment versus a bad investment.
So let me ask you something real quick. Which one of you, this might be an interesting question, but because I think that everything that's wrong with us, for the most part, it's the parents' fault. So which one of your parents' fault is it that you were not able to have that discernment developed enough to see more of that?
Well, I will say this. My mom has a mental disorder, so that plays a role.
Oh, yeah.
My father also was killed before I was born, right? So my mother gave birth to me while processing grief and after a serious trauma. So I think but my mom, because she had a father he was a Marine, he was a little bit more militant, he didn't play, he was no joke. She got out there fastly chasing whatever. She got with my dad, who would be the first example of potential, because my father was loved, he was smart, he was intelligent, he always wanted to be his own entrepreneur, but like many guys at that time was using it in the street pharmaceuticals sort of fashion. But you know, he took care of things or whatever based on that, but it's also what led to where his life ended. So I do feel like I saw my mom accept less than she was worth. And that was the first set of conditioning, because I kind of felt like, you know, I didn't know that then, but now I know it now, like reflecting backwards. But the biggest part of it and why I feel I didn't have the discernment is because since my mother herself chased all of the wrong types of guys, I don't think I've ever witnessed my mom in long-term relationships with guys who were a good example.
Conditioning.
Hands down. So all I knew is that, you know, if he had a big enough of a dream and a big enough of a this or whatever the case is, that, you know, if he just had the right person and, you know, whatever.
Right.
I didn't know what it looked like to see when a guy was serious about the goal he set. When he had a goal, he had a dream, but what were the actionable steps he were actually taking to work towards that? Was he a guy who was invested in his personal growth, right? Or just a guy with a big dream who's always selling a story with a good gift of gab? Because I'm attracted to a charming, cunning Nick. You gon'
charm his way in any place.
Especially if he is an intellect.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you want to be honest, most narcissists are smart as hell.
You got to be smart to be a narcissist.
You got to be a little crafty, right? So I think that the difference between that and seeing a guy who was action-based, like you said, you know, he doesn't just look at his time. He looks at how to make the most out of it. You know, he says things and he delivers on them. And that's the biggest one, the being a man of his word. Ironically, Wolf, I'm going to say this because I know I got a thing or two I want to give you and show you, but I wasn't going to go here, but I am.
Let's go there.
I'm going to go there.
Let's go there.
You know, that clip on your podcast that went viral, I had so many conflicting emotions about it. There's so many parts to that story that people don't know of how much I was a part of that story behind scenes, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even think you know.
I've heard a little bit.
Fully. But main thing I want to pour on
you're supposed to be there for sure.
I was supposed to be there. But, and I've said this to my good friend, Sir, because even I had to hold him accountable. And that's the part that a lot of people wouldn't know either. But, you know, he was wearing a shirt that day. And the shirt said,
"Get the milk."
Okay. If I pull my book out right now, you'll see that there's a chapter.
He told me the story.
Right? And the thing is, ironically, that clip went viral over be a man of your word, be a man of your word, be a man of your word.